This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Imagine waking up to contractors entering your suite without notice, and in some cases, it happening without your knowledge. Several tenants in a West Broadway apartment building say their privacy, rights, and safety are being violated. It's part of a long list of problems they say started after the building came under new ownership. The CBC's Rosanna Hempel reports.
It's Mira Coop's last day in her apartment. She and other tenants allege their privacy, rights, and safety were so violated during months of construction that some felt forced to move out.
They chose the most vile way to get rid of us. So I just want to show you.
Coop says her ordeal began at the end of July. She came home from a trip to find her fridge and gas stove had been replaced without notice, and her internet wasn't working.
And I came home and I went, oh my God, this is not my home.
Coop studies and works from home. She says the chaos of renovations that followed in August and September destroyed her quality of life.
Noise coming from below, because they're demoing down below. Noise coming from above, because they were doing work up there. And then noise coming from inside my unit too on top of that while they drill and remove my entire ceiling to take it down.
Coop alleges contractors came into her suite without notice from the owner or the property management company Chandon Homes on several occasions. Other tenants said the same thing, including one who told us that 5 men entered their unit one morning while they were sleeping.
What they drill the holes for? For the HVAC tubes.
This couple says the new landlord also wants tenants to start paying for heat and water and raise their rent above guideline by nearly 16%.
It was just nonstop chaos. It's miserable.
640 and 644 Westminster Avenue came under new ownership in late July. City records show no construction permits have been approved for the property since then, or since 2000. The new director, Justin Beaulieu, said in an email, it's a difficult time for tenants, but with the building being over 100 years old, we do have to upgrade items. The contractor, Boss Construction, says it believed it did not need permits for painting or prep work. Owner Adam Tuga told CBC they only applied for the permits after a city inspector came by in September and told them to stop work. He says his workers would not enter an apartment without confirmation from the landlord that notice had been given to tenants.
I'm just a little bit perplexed and want to make sure that going forward this doesn't happen again. There's always things that we can improve, but I think we're always trying to make the tenants, it's still their home, right?
Both Beaulieu and Chandon Homes said notices were sent to tenants according to residential tenancies branch rules. But tenants disagree. CBC reviewed copies of multiple emails from Chandon Homes where notices were sent less than 24 hours from the proposed entry time.
We've had multiple requests of entry that either people don't show up or they don't give us the right notice and show up.
As for Coop, she decided to move out after getting this notice on her door, after spending a night away to escape the noise.
It says, I believe that you have abandoned or moved out of this rental unit. I'm paying my rent. If they don't hear from me, that they will enter my unit, make a list of what's in there, throw away my food, and start packing and storing my items. Like, this is a threat to get rid of me, right?
She hopes speaking out holds the companies accountable and keeps the other tenants in their homes. Rosanna Hempel, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Nurses say they're stretched to their limits, exhausted, and dealing with overcrowded emergency rooms that are bursting at the seams. Their union says the system is at a breaking point that's not only impacting nurses, but patients who are left waiting and waiting. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has more.
The union representing nurses says the Health Sciences Centre emergency room is stretched thin. Manitoba Nurses Union President Darlene Jackson said last week some stroke patients had to be treated in the hallway. The union says the emergency department was over capacity.
Nurses at both children's emergency and adult emergency just telling us that it was absolutely chaotic in the adult emergency department.
Shared Health says on October 21st, there were so many patients in the adult emergency department that 3 young adults went to Children's Emergency Department for care.
To try and get patients through quicker, decrease some wait times for some of those poor folks who undoubtedly were there for 18 to 20 hours.
Ronald Harper almost left before being seen.
Too long and boring, and I almost walked out.
Just before 3:30 Monday afternoon, the Winnipeg Regional Health Authority website showed a 10-hour wait at HSC's Adult Emergency Department. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew addressed the wait times Monday.
The median wait right now is about 2 hours, 20 minutes. It's about just shy of 50 people. So we're working hard each and every day. I mean, those are relatively good numbers, but job's not done until everyone gets the health care that they need.
A government spokesperson says the median wait time data came from internal data before the Premier spoke to reporters at 12:30. Median means half of patients had shorter wait times than reported and half had longer wait times.
And that doesn't mean that everyone waits 2 hours. So, we generally see longer wait times than that at HSC Emergency. But the Premier did say it had stabilized, it was better today.
The opposition Progressive Conservatives took aim at the government.
I think this is further evidence that whatever the NDP claimed to be doing, it's not working.
Shared Health says in a statement it understands the anxiety waiting for emergency care can cause. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A landfill search for the remains of the last victim of Winnipeg's serial killer could begin in December. Ashley Shingoose was one of 4 First Nation women killed by Jeremy Skibitsky in 2022. Her body is believed to be in the Brady Road landfill. Premier Wab Kinew says they are currently hiring staff and a search could begin in a matter of weeks. In August, excavators and ground-penetrating radar was being used to narrow down search areas. The remains of 2 other victims, Morgan Harris and Mercedes Myron, were found at another landfill last summer. Manitoba's Premier says the province is working on 3 new mega projects that will bring in a combined $30 billion. As CBC's Bartley Kivas reports, Wab Kinew won't say what 2 of them are.
Speaking to Liberal advisor turned podcaster David Hurley, Wab Kinew hinted at major new developments in Manitoba.
We kind of have 3 mega projects on the horizon. One that we're almost certainly going to do, a second that we're trying to put the financing piece together, and then the third, which has been very public, is the Port of Churchill. And if we build the 3 of those out to the full extent, then yeah, I think Manitoba can become a half province, and not like 40 years in the future. I mean, like within the next 5-10 years.
The province has asked the Carney government to help expand the Port of Churchill at a cost estimated in the billions. Kinew wouldn't say what the other 2 projects are.
Hopefully $30 billion worth of economic activity we bring to the province, maybe more if we get all these projects we're looking at lined up, and they are in the energy space.
As far as energy goes, Manitoba Hydro is trying to increase its generating capacity. Hydro's already sought regulatory approval to build a new fuel-burning station. The province doesn't have enough power to serve all new energy-intensive customers, such as AI data centers. Provincial records show Kinew met with a Bell Canada lobbyist on October 3rd to talk about this.
I don't know that we have any news to share today, but I'd encourage folks to come check out the State of the Province address this December.
The official opposition isn't impressed.
It's another big flashy announcement by their premier with absolutely no backing, no dates, no timelines, no plan, just another flashy announcement.
Wab Kinew's State of the Province speech is 6 weeks away. Bartley Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The man charged in a mass shooting at a Winnipeg rooming house 2 years ago has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Jamie Felix entered his not guilty plea today in court. He's charged with killing 5 people inside a home on Langside Street back in November 2023. The last victim died in June after months in hospital following the attack. His family told CBC he was shot 3 times and needed 11 surgeries. Felix's attempted murder charge was upgraded after the man died. He faces 5 counts of second-degree murder. All right, let's bring in Riley Lachak. And Riley, not just the wind today, but that rain, boy, oh boy.
Yeah, very damp, kind of a miserable day in the Red River Valley. Brittany, still a good part of the Southern Interlake in the Red River Valley under a special weather statement. So far, a general 10 to 20 millimeters across parts of the Red River Valley and south central Manitoba. However, we did see upwards of almost 23 millimeters in Narcisse and in Elm Creek already. So some pockets, as expected, where we are seeing some of that higher accumulation. Some pockets of up to 60 millimeters locally by the time we get into the morning hours on Tuesday. You can see some of that indicated on radar through the afternoon around Portage-la Prairie, for example, when you're looking at some of these yellows and these red colors, some of that heavier rain. More of that back into the Dakotas as we get through the evening, so we're not done with it yet. We are looking at rain tapering off through the night, 6 degrees overnight, maybe a few showers first thing in the morning tomorrow at 5 degrees, Brittany, and fairly seasonal tomorrow. We'll talk about when we get a bit more sunshine back when I am back in a bit.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
It's been more than a year since the province reintroduced ankle monitoring devices. Why some say the numbers show the program isn't working. New numbers show more than half of people released with an ankle monitor in Manitoba end up being rearrested. But experts and people involved in the system are divided on whether that means the program has been a success or a failure. CBC's Caitlin Gowerluck has more.
Here's Manitoba's Justice Minister last year, bringing back ankle monitors for some people released on bail. The devices use GPS data and voice commands to try to make sure people follow their conditions and don't reoffend. Since then, hundreds have been released with ankle monitors. And new numbers obtained by CBC News show more than half were arrested again while wearing them. From August 2024 to October 16th of this year, over 500 people have been released with ankle monitors. About 60% of them ended up being rearrested or breaching their conditions. One criminologist says that shows the program's been a failure.
I don't think you need a fella like myself with a PhD to tell people that these are not good numbers. I mean, they're pretty stark.
The province initially refused to provide those numbers, but later shared them after CBC got similar data in court during a bail hearing. Prosecutors have been using the numbers to argue against releasing people because they say the ankle monitoring program doesn't prevent reoffending. In one recent hearing, a Crown attorney said the failure rate for people released with the devices was staggering. But another lawyer says the numbers may actually be a sign of success because when people are reoffending, the ankle monitors are catching them in the act.
The point of it is that if someone is going to decide not to comply with the conditions of their release, that they can be quickly located and rearrested if that's what needs to happen. That's the point of the program.
The government brought back ankle monitoring for some accused people in August last year. It was scrapped by the PCs in 2017 after they said a review ordered by the previous NDP government found the devices were often inaccurate or ineffective. So far, the current NDP government has budgeted more than $4 million for the new program.
Manitoba's Justice Minister says ankle monitors have been successful, in part because of how they help police find people who've broken the rules.
Whereas before, now, the search would begin. And that's a huge strain on our law enforcement resources.
Whether the ankle monitoring program is working is still a matter of debate. But critics and supporters agree. If reducing crime is the goal, the government should spend more on the root causes and improve supports for issues like addictions and mental health. Caitlin Gowerluck, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Manitoba's former premier has settled a fine levied against her for violating the province's conflict of interest law. CBC's Bryce Hoy has been following the story and joins us in the newsroom this evening. So Bryce, this all stemmed from Heather Stephenson's role in pushing forward a project after the Tories lost the election.
Brittany, yeah, that's right. Heather Stephenson was fined $18,000 earlier this month. Now, today we learned she's all paid up.
October 20, 2025, the Assembly received full payment from Heather Stephenson, the former MLA for Tuxedo.
That's House Speaker Tom Lindsay in question period today. Now, Stephenson, former Deputy Premier Cliff Cullen, and current PC MLA Jeff Wharton all fined. Cullen $12,000, Wharton $10,000. Now, this all stems from Manitoba's Ethics Commissioner report in May. Now, he found the three PCs engaged in improper behavior and violated conflict of interest laws. Now, the commissioner said they did that by trying to push through approval for a silica sand mine project, and that was after losing the October 2023 provincial election to the NDP. Now, the commissioner recommended the fines, and MLAs voted to accept that earlier this month. All three had 30 days to pay up. Wharton paid his fine today, and no word in question period on the status of Cullen's fines.
So, Bryce, I understand the Premier also commented on the latest trade troubles between the United States and Canada.
That's right, Brittany. Premier Canoe repeated his support for Ontario Premier Doug Ford today. Now, a few days ago, U.S. President Donald Trump again put a halt to trade talks with Canada. Now, this was in response to a $75 million anti-tariff ad campaign from the Ford government. Now, the ads, they use former U.S. President Ronald Reagan's own words to send this anti-tariff message to Americans. Now, some of the ads broadcast even during the World Series. Now, Canoe put out a video of his own on Friday showing support for the Ford government, and today at the legislature, he doubled down.
I think it's good that President Trump has to squirm, and that he's being reminded that Republicans and Mr. Reagan we're totally against tariffs. And if we want to make the case to the American people that tariffs are wrong and we should get back to a better relationship between our two countries, yeah, there's going to be times where the president lashes out.
Leader of the opposition, Abi Khan, well, he accused Canoe of grandstanding.
The Premier would rather film a commercial acting as Ford's puppet on his lap instead of doing the hard and serious work for Manitobans.
Now, Canoe says he thinks the Ford government got their money's worth with the ads. Brittany?
All right, thank you. That's CBC's Bryce Hoy. Riley back in now. Nice to be back with you. Thank you for holding down the desk for a few days.
The band is back together.
The band is back together, and the band is dealing with some wet weather.
Yeah,
a band of wet weather, as you will.
A little bit miserable through the Interlake into the Red River Valley, Brittany.
Yeah.
Totally different story to the west of us. Places like Dauphin, mostly sunny throughout the day today. So
a little taste of everything.
Pretty much. Starting upper level, here's why we've been stuck in some of this rain throughout the day today. So first off, we have this upper low over Saskatchewan and Alberta that's trying to push eastward into northern Manitoba throughout the day today, but we also have this upper high that has been blocking that over northern Ontario and Quebec. So we get stuck in this sort of frontal boundary here between the two systems, and that's why we've seen some of that rain developing kind of over and over and over again over the same area really throughout the day today. And you can see that front, that pretty stationary front, it really hasn't moved throughout the day today across much of southern Manitoba. That's why we've seen some of those heavier pockets of rain through south central parts of the province, into Elm Creek, for example, into Morden, Winkler, into the Interlake, pushing slowly eastward as we get through the evening hours here. So if we advance into the overnight hours, you can see we're back into a mainly cloudy sky to the west. Still periods of rain in Winnipeg and into southeastern Manitoba as we get through the overnight hours. So it really isn't until we get into the morning that we do see a bit of improvement in the weather, at least for the Red River Valley, as the system pushes into northwestern Ontario, looking at an accumulating rain for Kenora through Fort Frances and to Red Lake, for example, as we get through the day. High pressure in behind that tries to clear us out Tuesday into Wednesday. Wouldn't be surprised if we got back even into a mix of sun and clouds by later tomorrow afternoon. That sets us up for a very sunny Wednesday, and then I'm watching another low start to move in from Saskatchewan and Alberta, and this could bring some showers at the very least through southern Manitoba as we get toward the end of the week. And on the back side of this, back into Saskatchewan, even the potential for some snow as we get through the day on Thursday. In terms of what's to come, like I said earlier, 10 to 20 millimeters so far, another 10 to really 15 through the Interlake into southeastern Manitoba as we get through the night, but some pockets into northwestern Ontario where we could get into accumulations upwards of 30, even 40 millimeters of rain by the time this is all said and done. So where we have cloudier skies tonight, looking at temperatures staying around 6-7 degrees through the overnight hours. Back to the west, though, first thing in the morning, close to or just below the freezing mark for some locations. Temperatures in the afternoon remain above seasonal, Brittany, 9s and 8s through Tuesday, Wednesday. And Halloween, there's that chance of showers as we get through the afternoon.
All right, thanks so much, Riley.
You're welcome.
We have more to come straight ahead. Stay with us. Prime Minister Mark Carney has wrapped his first summit with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. He pitched Canada as a reliable trading partner, and it comes as the U.S. president threatens a new tariff against Canada and balks at resuming trade negotiations with Ottawa. Rafi Bujikanian has details.
On his way out of Malaysia, Donald Trump had a parting shot for Mark Carney.
I don't want to meet with him. No, I'm not going to be meeting with him for a while. No. I'm very happy with the deal we have right now with Canada. We're going to let it ride.
America's jobs and growth are at stake.
Still upset over an Ontario TV ad showing part of a speech from former U.S. President Ronald Reagan criticizing the use of tariffs. Trump has halted trade talks with Canada since last week, just before both he and Carney traveled to Southeast Asia, a part of the world where the two leaders are trying to forge stronger economic ties with their countries. Trump even threatening an additional 10% hike in tariffs on Canadian goods, despite Ontario saying it would pull the commercial this week.
Well, look, with respect to the additional tariff, we haven't seen the specifics about that.
Carney threw the ball back in the White House's court, confirming he and Trump have not spoken.
We stand ready to sit down with the United States, myself with the President, my colleagues with their colleagues, when the U.S. is ready to sit down.
The Prime Minister also said Ottawa made the call not to run ads south of the border during this trade war, falling short of admitting he asked Ontario Premier Doug Ford to stop running his commercial.
In any complicated, high-stakes negotiation, you can get unexpected twists and turns. It is the responsibility of the Government of Canada to have these negotiations.
While Ford himself had this to say.
Do you know why President Trump's so upset right now? Because it was effective. It was working. It woke up the whole country.
Official handshake.
Canada's found a warmer reception in Malaysia as the federal government hopes to sign a free trade agreement with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations sometime next year. Close to 700 million people in 11 countries, all of them with growing needs, says this business group.
Look, I think ASEAN nations are facing many of the trade headwinds that Canada is. And are looking for diversification and the right partners to buy from, particularly around energy and food.
Carney and Trump will now go their separate ways until a second international summit in South Korea later this week. Right now, both men are planning to speak with Chinese President Xi Jinping there, but do not have any talks scheduled with each other. Rafi Bujikanian, CBC News, Kuala Lumpur.
The Carney government has revealed more details about what will be in next week's federal budget. 2 cabinet ministers announced initiatives to help Canadian workers, including a tax break for some of the lowest paid people in the healthcare sector, personal support workers.
This new refundable tax credit will enable eligible PSWs to claim a refundable credit of 5% of eligible earnings, providing support of up to $1,100 per year.
At the same time, the Secretary of State for Labour was with ironworkers in Toronto, announcing a new $75 million investment in a union-led apprenticeship training program for the trades. He says it will result in 40,000 more Canadians with the skills to build new bridges, roads, and homes across the country. Budget 2025 will be tabled in the House of Commons on November 4th. The United States plans to photograph Canadian travelers who are entering and leaving the country by all modes of travel. According to the rules, photos will remain in a U.S. database for up to 75 years. Sophia Harris has the details.
Warren Chappelle had an unsettling experience this month at Cleveland's International Airport. He says just before boarding his flight home to Toronto, a border officer took his photo, offering no explanation.
Well, I was surprised. I was aghast. I felt ambushed because it happened so quickly.
The United States is ramping up its facial biometrics program, photographing international travelers and using facial comparison technology to confirm their identities.
All of our arrival systems are now utilizing facial comparison.
Close to a decade ago, the U.S. rolled out the technology at airports for international arrivals. Canada did the same. Now, the U.S. plans to photograph travelers entering and leaving the country by all modes of transport. Full implementation could take several years, but technology that photographs travelers inside vehicles is expected to be in place at land borders in 2026. No word yet on if it will cause delays.
Doing this at the land ports of entry, the logistics are going to be very difficult.
Meanwhile, the U.S. has already started snapping photos at dozens of airports at international departures, something Chappelle discovered unwittingly.
I was not alerted that this might happen, and I was not given a choice to have the picture taken.
In Canada, all travelers can choose not to be photographed. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says Canadians also have that right in the U.S., but not for long. On December 26, a new rule is set to take effect, making it mandatory for non-U.S. citizens to take part.
What they're trying to do is more, control who's entering this country, national security reasons, and I do think it's going to be the wave of the future.
But it could also serve as a deterrent for Canadians traveling to the U.S., which is already in steep decline. After his experience, Chappelle says he's reconsidering further travel to the country. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
A Victoria man is sounding the alarm after losing his entire life savings to fraud. But the most shocking part, he says, 2 major banks didn't stop it despite obvious red flags. Erica Johnson has this Go Public investigation.
There's all the transfers.
Ray Anholt shows his daughter a list, all the times he pulled money out of his bank account, part of an elaborate scam that started after Anholt got a call that said CIBC, but was actually a scammer, pretending to be a bank employee. He tells Anholt, who's 89, that his money isn't safe. The bank needs his help to investigate money laundering.
We want to make sure that you don't lose your life savings. So I went along with it.
Over the next 6 months, under the scammer's instructions, Anholt withdraws his entire life savings, almost $1.7 million, from both CIBC and RBC, handing over stacks of cash and gold bars they'd instructed him to buy. CIBC questions why he's making the withdrawals, but still lets him do it. At RBC, no one questions bank drafts for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 at a time.
They never once asked that. He drained his account, money coming in from his investments, going out as gold bar.
When he's out of money, Anholt learns he's been played.
I was devastated, totally. And I still am. I think of nothing else, day and night.
Banks are supposed to have policies in place protecting the financial interests of their customers, but a bank accountability expert says employees didn't follow those rules.
It's a horribly negligent pattern at both CIBC and RBC.
Both banks declined an interview, said they had robust and rigorous policies in place to deal with fraud. RBC eventually called a meeting with Ray Anholt and his daughter, told Go Public the matter is now resolved, but wouldn't say how.
Countries like Australia and the UK have introduced legislation that could make the banks liable for failing to prevent fraud. When Go Public asked the Department of Finance if similar protections will be included when changes to the Bank Act are announced next month, a spokesperson declined to clarify. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
It's been 1 year since Canada saw what became the start of an explosive measles outbreak. Just this year, more than 5,000 cases have been reported across 10 regions. There have been 2 deaths, both preterm infants, one in Alberta and one in Ontario. Some experts say Canada stands to lose its status as a nation that successfully wiped out the highly contagious infection. Lauren Pelly has more.
Hello? Catalina Friesen offers medical guidance in Low German, the language spoken by this Mennonite community in southwestern Ontario. The region has been the epicenter of the province's measles outbreak.
They do respect and understand the severity of it.
Measles spreads like wildfire in communities like this, where vaccination rates are low. Friesen is among those working to change that by building trust.
I understand what they're going through. I understand why they don't want to do immunizations, why they're scared, so I can help them understand the importance of it.
Even among the broader public, measles vaccination rates have slipped in many regions. Last October, Canada declared an outbreak after infections started rising in multiple provinces. Measles remains one of the world's most contagious diseases, and stopping its spread requires vaccine uptake as high as 95%.
We never want to see large measles outbreaks in Canada. It's completely unacceptable in 2025. We should not.
Dr. Isaac Bogosh says public health needs to be a countrywide priority. That means boosting vaccination rates, battling disinformation, and breaking down barriers.
Easy to say, but of course it takes time, effort, energy, resources to get that done.
And the clock is ticking. World Health Organization countries committed to eliminating measles by 2030. Canada hit that goal back in 1998. But the country could lose its elimination status if transmission continues beyond 1 year. Discussions start in early November.
Quite frankly, if we were to lose our status, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing at an international level.
To have a country like Canada on that list is frankly shocking.
Some experts are calling for a national vaccine registry to track uptake across provincial borders. Others say we already know who's most at risk and just need better outreach.
Over the 6 years that I've been out here, there has been a very slight change in how many have gotten the immunizations for their families.
Friesen says this kind of life-saving education simply takes time. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Bracing for impact. Jamaica is preparing to get hit with what could be the strongest hurricane in more than half a century. The latest next. People across Jamaica are taking cover as a powerful hurricane bears down on the island nation. Now a Category 5 storm, Melissa is expected to make landfall early tomorrow morning. Fears about widespread damage, power outages, and the impact of climate change all rising along with the storm surge. Nicole Mortellaro reports.
It's coming.
Powerful winds and high waves are already battering Jamaica as Hurricane Melissa makes its way across the Caribbean. Ahead of the powerful storm, people prepared as much as they could. But the Category 5 storm, with winds of up to 280 kilometers per hour, is likely to wreak havoc across the small island. This is expected to be the most powerful hurricane in Jamaica's history, with extreme rainfall and life-threatening storm surges.
I'm concerned about the farmers, the fishermen who will be suffering after this. So we'll need help as soon as possible, especially water for the people.
Scientists are keeping a close eye on Hurricane Melissa, as warmer than usual ocean temperatures have helped strengthen the dangerous storm.
So what you saw Melissa do with that heat was undergo what we call extreme rapid intensification. Between Friday night and Saturday, it had just exploded 70 miles per hour, stronger than it was 24 hours before that.
These types of storms are on the rise due to climate change, scientists say.
This hurricane season specifically, we've had 5 hurricanes, and now 4 of them have undergone this extreme rapid intensification. This is something that we didn't see a couple decades ago, but that we're now seeing at least every season, if not even multiple times this season.
The hurricane has already killed at least 3 people in Haiti and another in the Dominican Republic.
It's a very slow-moving tropical cyclone, which is moving at the rate of about 6 kilometers an hour. So this is making the tropical cyclone very, very dangerous.
The storm is forecast to remain a major hurricane even after it hits Jamaica and approaches Cuba on Tuesday. Nicole Mortellaro, CBC News, Toronto.
Riley back in now. Riley, this is a storm that you've been following very closely, and as you just saw there, the potential for massive damages and some deaths already that come with it.
Widespread, not just centered on Jamaica, but right across the Caribbean through parts of Cuba and beyond as we get later in the week. I'm going to get right into it. Here's a look at satellite imagery of where that hurricane sits right now, just south of Jamaica. You can see Jamaica outlined in red with that hurricane warning, with Cuba just to the north here. So that situates you where we are right now, currently at a Category 5, winds at 280 kilometers an hour sustained right now. And as we go forward in time here, you'll see as we get into the morning hours on Tuesday, that's when we see landfall happening as a Category 5. Now, the interesting thing is the forecast modeling throughout the day has actually been pushing the track of this a little bit further west throughout the day. So more of a hit directly on the western side of Jamaica, but certainly we're going to feel the impacts for days as we get through the next several days here as we get into the coming week here. So as we move into Wednesday, we're looking at this making landfall as a strong Category 3 or a Category 4 in Cuba. The potential in Jamaica and the further north you go of up to 40 inches of rain. That's over 1,000 millimeters plus the wind that goes along with that. So we're looking at the Caribbean next as we get into Wednesday and a line toward Bermuda even as we get into Thursday. So several days of impact to come through parts of the Caribbean because of Hurricane Melissa here. All right, back here at home, wet, very damp one out there, 8 degrees. We've started to see the winds coming down a bit, south at 17 right now in the city. Across the rest of the south, looking at 8 to 10 degrees across the west, 10 in Thompson, 11 degrees in Churchill at the moment anyway. Temperatures for the most part have been hanging around 10 through much of the province as we've gotten throughout the day or so here today. All right, overnight temperatures where we do see clear skies and where we did see a bit of sunshine today. Temperatures close to freezing into the parkland. -1 in Roblin, 0 in Swan River, 1, maybe a few scattered showers in Brandon, but more of a steadier rain. Winnipeg and eastward into northwestern Ontario, 6 in Gimli, still a few showers yet to come, and temperatures in the single digits for northern Manitoba, 3 degrees in Thompson. Showers tapering off in northern Manitoba. Island Lake at 9 tomorrow afternoon, 4s and 6s with a bit of cloud cloud cover starting to build in through Flin Flon, the Pas, OCN, Lynn Lake, and to Dooley Lake. In the south, there's that rain as it pushes off into northwestern Ontario already through the morning. Maybe a few scattered showers in Winnipeg. Sunnier back to the west. Temperatures around 9 and 10 degrees. Brittany, I'll have your 7-day forecast, and we'll do the cats coming up at the end of the show here.
All right. Thank you, Riley.
You're welcome.
Community activist Emma Durand-Wood will be Winnipeg's newest city councillor after winning the Elmwood East Kildonan seat over the weekend. The by-election was first called after the death of Jason Schreier, the area's former councillor who passed away in April. She spoke with Marcy Marcusa about her top priorities of reducing crime and homelessness.
People want to feel safe in their neighborhoods. They want their fellow Winnipeggers to have appropriate housing, and so that's a big one. And for me, that looks like doing everything we can to reduce poverty, because there's such strong links between poverty and crime. Transit came up a lot. People having mixed experiences with our new system. I'm a transit user too, so I've been experiencing them as well. And I think the message is really clear. We need more investment in transit. And then just investing in community, especially investing in youth and making sure young people are connected in their communities, have safe and productive ways to stay out of trouble, and just have a good life.
In terms of what some of these issues look like specific to Elmwood, because a lot of our neighborhoods are talking transit and crime and homelessness, because these are citywide issues as well. For example, how's transit changes playing out? You said you use the bus. Could you use... The city wants to hear. You're a counselor now.
And I have sent in my feedback to 311, just like everyone else.
What's the concern out in Elmwood?
So I think, the early ending, not having service late enough, especially for those folks who are working shifts or, just want to come home from a night on the town, it's really important that we have transit that meets, those needs. Stop placements, there's been some concerns from folks. I talked to one gentleman who's vision impaired. He bought his house because of the proximity to transit, and now it's all changed. So that's a big challenge. So, how can we meet the needs of those folks? For me, I see, some routes have really improved, and some routes have kind of gone downhill. It feels like a bit of a downgrade in service.
We covered a couple of by-elections at other governmental levels, provincial and federal, in Elmwood EK. And so I was out in that neighborhood talking to people, and crime did come up a lot. What do you hope might change, especially given that when you look at crime sort of in Osborne Village, for example, you have a pocket neighborhood where, they set up an office now, they have a place to go. Elmwood's sort of spread out along Henderson Highway with its pocket neighborhoods behind, and then it spreads that way to the, to the east. So what do you see that could help with crime?
Yeah. Well, something that I see already helping is the Elmwood Unity Walk. And so that's one of these sort of community-based patrols that's out there, just having a positive presence in the community and connecting with people who might need extra services, letting them know that there's someone that they can trust that wants to build up a relationship with them and get them things that they need. And I think that's a template we could be using in a lot more places, because they do a lot of work monitoring in sort of one part of Elmwood and checking out encampments and keeping tabs on things. But it's a great solution. And I just heard from someone the other day that he feels some of the improvements in Osborne Village are really having a positive impact. So we could look at maybe bringing that into Elmwood as well.
You said you have also said you want to fix budget woes with, quote, we need to do away with unaffordable mega projects and focus on many, many small impactful projects that need doing in our neighborhoods, end quote. Mega projects, what are you thinking about?
Well, I think we're talking about Kenaston. I think we're talking about Chief Pegwis. These are huge, huge, huge projects. And it's not to say that, some components of them are not important. Obviously the bridge in the Kenaston project, that has to be done. But in terms of widening roads, it's very, very, very expensive. We already have a huge infrastructure deficit, which means we can't pay for what we already have. So why are we talking about adding more?
You also want to reduce, this is an interesting promise you made, you want to reduce residential speed limits to 30 kilometers per hour, which has been a pilot in some neighborhoods of the city. We haven't fully gone there. Why do you believe that that's something that's needed in your neighborhood, in Elmwood EK, in your ward?
Yeah, well, so it's first of all, it's what science shows is what's needed to make everybody safer. Just makes people a lot safer from the risks of being hit by a vehicle, but it also reduces the number of collisions. And we have like 39 collisions a day on average in Winnipeg. That's a lot of people's lives disrupted in so many different ways. Very expensive, injuries. So that's what the science shows is kind of a best practice. But also prior to entering the race for this seat, I was involved in a group of folks who were out petitioning in the neighborhood and talking to hundreds of people, asking them their opinions on this. And going into it, I had the thought that it was going to be maybe controversial, maybe not popular. But we had a very high rate of people who were interested in having slower traffic on the street where they live. So I feel pretty confident. I know there's some naysayers out there, but I feel pretty confident that actually most people are in support of it or okay with it.
Still ahead, hundreds of people filled the streets of Mexico City over the weekend, marking the beginning of Day of the Dead festivities. We'll take you there after the break. Hundreds of people dressed in vibrant costumes and skull-like makeup filled the streets of Mexico City, marking the beginning of Day of the Dead festivities. The celebration is a tradition in which families honor deceased loved ones and celebrate life's continuity. Among the groups marching in this year's parade is a 2S LGBTQ+ collective that includes nearly 200 artists, stylists, and designers. Day of the Dead is celebrated November 2nd.
Well, a damp night across southeastern Manitoba, south central Manitoba through the Interlake into northwestern Ontario with this rain that's continuing to fall along this pretty stationary front as we get through the night. That does taper off as we get into the day tomorrow. Nonetheless, here's a bit of a cat-napping forecast for you because we're looking at a bit of a wet one. This is Maui and Aspen. Thank you, Junior, for sending this picture. And I know you've sent a few, and you can send yours to talkback at cbc.ca. So by the afternoon, I am looking at some sunny breaks returning to Winnipeg, but remaining cloudy at least through the early part of the day. Halloween into Friday, slim chance we could see some showers into the early part of the day. It does taper off into the evening. And then there's that time change happening Saturday into Sunday.
So maybe an umbrella as part of your costume.
Yeah. Halloween is coming up fast, of course, and that means pumpkin carving season.
But a man in northern Alberta does things a little bit different. He carves them underwater. Here's your Daily Lift.
Back in the Navy, out in Victoria, we used to do it out in Sydney, BC. It was a whole lot of fun. If the guys want to get their pumpkin carving certification card through Patty, and it is a specialty card, we do 2 dives. Typically, we do something like you've got to go find Blackbeard's treasures or do a dive cleanup and pick up debris. And then the second dive is they'll go down with a pumpkin and they'll carve it. Not allowed to use any tracing. You can only use your dive knife. You go down, carve a pumpkin, bring it up, and then we'll judge to see who's got the cleanest pumpkin, best fitting top, or whose is the most artistic. We had Matt, he made a shark on his. James drew a pirate. Other guys just did a smiley face.
You know what? I'm not skilled enough with a knife on land. I don't need to take it underwater and see where that's going to end up.
Very detailed for being underwater,
Right?
having to focus on the diving, the breathing while you're there, and trying to carve that pumpkin at the same time.
Well done, lads.
Oh, no kidding.
Have a great night. We'll see you here tomorrow.
See ya.